Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to talk about Ethereum. We're going to be looking at its ratio against Bitcoin as well as a few other things. So if you guys like the content, please subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up. We try to look at things a little bit differently on the channel, looking more so at like data science, quantitative analysis rather than your traditional types of TA. So if you guys like that, please go ahead and subscribe. We also do have this Telegram channel here. And you can find a link to that in the description below if you would like to discuss these charts or talk with me. And then we also do have the premium list if you want exclusive content. So let's go ahead and jump in. So what we have here, right, is just this is the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio versus time. So, business as usual in terms of, and we know we've seen this chart 1,000 times. If we take a gander at these key moves, right? I mean, we know that this one happened when Bitcoin held the 20-week moving average in 2016. Like this is common knowledge to us now. We also know that the next one, right? So the one in 2017 was when Bitcoin reached its prior all-time high. So we have this move, and then we had this move here, and then the final one, the final major one, right, was when Bitcoin reached the end of its bull run. Now, some of you may be looking at this one and thinking that this one was not as significant as this one, but if you flip it to a log scale, you can actually see, relatively speaking, this move here was similar to the move that Ethereum saw against Bitcoin in 2017. So there were a lot of similarities between these types of moves, Bitcoin holding the 20-week moving average and then Bitcoin reaching its prior all-time high. Note that currently Bitcoin has not held its current 20-week moving average. The 20-week moving average is around $8,500 to $8,600. And Bitcoin is still fairly far away from it. So, I can't say whether we're going to see a complete repeat of the last cycle. It'll probably, there's going to be some differences, right? We don't expect it to play out exactly the same way. But just to note that this happened around the time Bitcoin held its 20-week moving average in 2016. Now, if you look here, so if we take this bottom as our first cycle, so from here to here, and then we take this second bottom as our second cycle, which note that they're just a sub-cycle within a single Bitcoin bull market. And then we skip this one and just say this is part of this one. And then we say that this one right here is the start of a third cycle, so our new bottom, right? Hopefully what our bottom is for this cycle. So first cycle is the blue one. So again, it's this one, and then the second cycle is this. So first cycle is the blue line, second cycle is the red line, and the second move here that you see around the 400-day mark just corresponds to the second move in late 2017, early 2018. So we have our first cycle, our second cycle. You can see as measured from that local bottom, they had a very similar ROI. But the first cycle had a higher one, which, I think, again, plays along with the idea that the volatility will reduce over time, as it already has in the past. If you put on cycle 3, so essentially looking at this point here and saying that, this is our third cycle, which is maybe the first sub-cycle of the second Bitcoin bull market, potentially, then this is what it would look like so far. So really not a whole lot to see, right? I mean, it's, in terms of looking at the last cycle from when we kind of hit bottom, it didn't take long for Ethereum to start moving. This one, it's already taken a lot longer. I mean, we're actually approaching a year at this point from the bottom, or at least from what we think is the bottom, right? We don't know for sure it's the bottom. There's a chance it's not. But, looking at this, it has been quite a while since we were at the bottom. And if you show it on a log scale, right, you can see it a lot clearer. And measured from the bottom, you can see it has been slowly trending up, but we have not seen, any type of major move against Bitcoin. And, if Ethereum does see a major move against Bitcoin, again, I certainly do not expect Ethereum to go up 10x with respect to Bitcoin in a short time period like we saw in the past. I would not expect that to happen at all. So, you have to be aware that, again, the volatility will likely reduce as we continue marching on in time as the cryptocurrency asset class continues to mature. So this is just obviously just the typical disclaimer, right? We don't expect something like this, but if we see something, if we see this move up to a few X against Bitcoin, like if Ethereum were to go to say like 750, right? As we showed in a like our mid market cycle prediction video, if it were to go to 750 at some point in say the next year or 18 months or so, and if Bitcoin did not see a significant move, I mean maybe Bitcoin moves but not as significantly, then obviously this could go up to a several X potentially depending on where Bitcoin is, and then exactly where Ethereum goes if it goes to 750 or maybe 900. You see it pop up a few of these ticks here. So this is essentially what I'm looking for over the long run. Now everyone has seen this chart before, right? You probably are bored to tears, to be completely honest, right? Bored to tears looking at this chart. But it's nice to show when the prior predictions of Bitcoin just getting above the 20-week. Not that it's rocket science, right? I mean, it's just we would expect a nice move up, and we've started to see that nice, solid move up, like we have in the past. Once Bitcoin was above the 20-week moving average for an extended period of time, and this is the 20-week and the 50-week we're showing. And then here is the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio, color coded, whether Bitcoin is above its 20 and 50-week. So a nice move here. A nice move here, and then again we're seeing another nice move, with the exception being in 2019 where Ethereum bled with respect to Bitcoin when Bitcoin was making its move from like $4,000 up to $14,000. The Ethereum Bitcoin ratio actually bled, and the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio will bleed again if Bitcoin starts to really make a move. So when Ethereum and Bitcoin kind of start dancing with one another, like when you see Ethereum go up and then Bitcoin kind of comes up too, and then if Bitcoin stabilizes for a while, right, then it kind of leaves Ethereum room to start moving again. The issue in 2019 was that Bitcoin just kept moving up, so that's where the money went, right? I mean, if Bitcoin's the market mover, it's the index of the market. If it's continuing to move up, that's where the money's going to go. And then it never really stabilized at any of these levels. It just came crashing right back down, right? So it never gave Ethereum a chance to grow. Where when Bitcoin goes to a level like 9 to 10K, which was above the 20-week moving average, and then it stayed there for a really long period of time, it gave Ethereum that chance for the growth that Ethereum was really wanting to see. From being so undervalued to getting to a fair value to now being, to now it's actually continuing to go up. So what would we like to see, right? I mean, if there's three scenarios, right, that could play out. If Bitcoin goes up, then Ethereum Bitcoin will likely decrease. So the ratio, the valuation of Ethereum to Bitcoin would likely decrease. Obviously, I can't say what would happen on any single day. I mean, there's always exceptions to the rule. But overlooking, say, several weeks or something, if Bitcoin is skyrocketing like every day or every other day, then Ethereum likely will not keep up. On the other hand, if Bitcoin goes down, if you see Bitcoin crashing, if Bitcoin crashes back down to, say, like the 20-week moving average, then the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio will likely also bleed. What leaves Ethereum room to grow, again, right, is if Bitcoin can just stay where it is. If Bitcoin can stay at 11K, the longer it can stay just at 11K, the more likely Ethereum is to move, okay? So this is what you'd be looking for. So again, it depends on what your goals are. I imagine a lot of people here hold Ethereum and Bitcoin, which I think, not financial advice, of course, but I think it's a good thing to hold both of them, as adding both of them to your portfolio does improve your risk-adjusted returns and helps to improve the Sharpe and the Sortino ratios based on modern portfolio theory. So, I certainly hold both of these assets. I hold more Bitcoin than Ethereum. I assume most of you hold both of these coins, and I'm sure some of you hold more Ethereum than Bitcoin because you're banking on a higher ROI, and there's a really good chance you would see that. But there's also a chance you wouldn't. So these are the things I'm currently looking out for. This is our old faithful logarithmic regression line fit to non-bubble data to help us identify the lows to be especially DCAing into the market, and then to help us identify potentially when we're getting into speculative bubble territory. you can see right now we're, according to this band, we're still within our accumulation zone, right? We're not flirting with speculative bubble territory yet, like we were in 2019. The nice thing though now is that even though the price at current day is, would have been in speculative bubble territory in 2019, according to this, it's actually still in the accumulation region just because we've continued to march forward through time. The market's maturing. We expect the Ethereum ratio or the Ethereum price to go up over the next several years, or at least I do. And because of this, this is monotonically increasing. Therefore, the fair value will continue to go up over time. So this is generally the idea. And this is just to show some of the regression lines. I want to jump over to TradingView for a little bit, but before I do, I want to remind you we do have a premium list. It's intothecryptoverse.com. If you guys like the content that I provide, you can get access to even more content, exclusive content. We have a premium report I release every single week, a premium video every week, and in addition, you get access to a Telegram alerts channel, which provides you with kind of like a play-by-play of what I'm doing and where I see the markets, and also access to a risk dashboard on Google Sheets that can tell you where the risk levels are of a lot of these different coins: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink, ADA, Litecoin, and I'm going to be putting more on there. So, check it out. If you want to pay with crypto, you can, and you can get a discount. And I have started, I said this a few days ago. In a few weeks, I will raise prices. So those who sign up now or are already signed up will just be grandfathered in at the current price. But if, sometime in a few weeks, I haven't decided exactly when yet, I will raise prices just because of, it's with all these new people signing up, it's just the administrative part of it is a lot. And so to help reduce that burden, I'm gonna raise prices on future members signing up. Basic economics in terms of that. So if you want the cheaper price, go ahead and sign up and you'll be grandfathered in. If on the other hand, you'd rather wait until, there's, the market is further down the road before you sign up, you can do that. Just be aware that the prices will go up. So do check it out. Now, the last part of the video, we're just going to pull up TradingView here. So, as we've showed, right, this is hopefully our reaccumulation region where we currently are. I've speculated, right, that there's obviously a chance that we see a bubble and then come back into it. The rate at which this bubble forms is anyone's guess, and then we come back into it. On the other hand, right, there's a chance, because I'm not clairvoyant, believe it or not, there is a chance that this market cycle, Ethereum, does not pump super, or say significantly in a short period of time with respect to Bitcoin. There's always that chance, right? I mean, there's a chance that it's more of a slower, more methodical move up, and then a reaccumulation, and then a continuation or something. This is a possibility, right? I don't know what is going to happen, but if it does happen, if there is a speculative bubble, I'll react to it, because I don't think that we would just shoot up to say, a really high ratio and then never dip back down. So I would tend to think that during the market cycle, Ethereum would spend a decent amount of time, in this region, in our kind of like our reaccumulation region, which is probably between around 0.03 up to around 0.045, maybe up to 0.05 in that region or thereabouts. I would anticipate that would be kind of where we would be, and then I would actually think that this, like around 0.05, would likely be our new accumulation region after the next bull market. So once things heat up, Bitcoin goes wherever it's going to go, Ethereum goes to wherever it's going to go, then we have another bear market. I would think that the new normal for Ethereum Bitcoin would be around a 0.05 valuation, maybe a little bit higher, maybe a little bit lower. I mean, what's a few of these among friends here? But or I guess I should say, what's a few sats among friends? But this is just like a more longer term guess, I guess, than anything. And I do think that there's a good chance that Ethereum Bitcoin, the ratio would go a lot higher than this level during this market cycle. Like I could easily see it getting to 0.1 or potentially 0.15. A lot of you guys asked me in the last video or in the comment section, I said I could see it getting to 0.15, and you said, well, could it go higher? And my answer to that was, and actually it was not on this video. I post a lot of these videos on a subreddit called Eth Finance. You guys should check it out, by the way. It's a good subreddit to discuss Ethereum with other people. So Eth Finance, and people were asking on there, what could you see it going higher, right? Could you see it going to a ratio of 0.2 or something? And of course, this is a possibility. I don't want to say that it's going to go to that level, because then people are going to think like, oh, Ben said it's going to go to that level. Therefore, if it ever gets to 0.15, I'm not going to sell. I'm just going to wait. And again, there's really no guarantees as to where it's going to go. So I certainly would have been DCAing out of the market, and might still have a position depending on the risk levels at the time. But you just have to remain level-headed, because you don't want to get too greedy in the end. If you look back, right? I mean, if you just look back at, say, this market cycle, and actually let's look at it in terms of USD. If you had taken profits at say $1,000, let's say you took Ethereum profits. Let's say you sold the remainder of your stack at $1,000 on the way up. Now, there may have been a few days, right, where you were kicking yourself, because you could have been like, oh man, if I had held for 4 more days, I could have sold at $1,400. But this is hindsight, right? I mean, no one knew that it was going to go up another $400 at the time. I mean, we didn't know this. So the idea, right, is you sell at key points on the way up. So maybe you sold in 2017. Maybe you sold at this level here, or this here, and then here, and then your final one here. And then you look back on it and you say, you know what, at the time, and maybe you didn't sell here actually, because this is still within our regression band, but maybe you sold maybe in this region or something. You look back on it and say, you would not have known, right, where it was going to peak, and you just kind of say, you know what, I sold a tiny bit here. I sold maybe 1/15 of my portfolio here, 2/15 here, 3/15 here, 4/15, and then 5/15 at that point. And you just say, you know what, this was a profitable trade. These were profitable times. I took the information that I knew at the time, and I'm just going to move on with it. And I'm not going to regret not selling everything at the exact peak, because looking back now, I mean, many of you guys would have loved to have sold right at $1,000. I mean, this would be a dream, right? If you could just sell your Ethereum for $1,000. So in the same way, in the next cycle, if you see something where, and let's actually expand this out to say a weekly time frame, so we can look here at all these different years. If we were to draw this out and say let's suppose that something like this happens where it comes up in the short term, maybe comes back down, and over the next few years it does slowly trend up. It breaks its all-time high, say in 2021, 2022 or something. And then, maybe in 2023, it takes a shot at whatever title it's going for, and then it kind of comes back down. So if this is what happens, right, and obviously there's some noise in here. I mean, it can move up or down. We don't really know. This is just a random drawing. So looking at this, right, I mean, if you're trying to figure out, okay, well, do you just try to time the very top? Right? Do you just let's do this, and let me change this back. So let's say you just try to time this very top point here, right? Or do you just DCA on your way up, and then once the price has dropped back down to this level, you look back on it and say, you know what, I did what I could at the time, and this was the information I had to work with, and I sold when I could. So this is the idea, right? It's not trying to time the top, because that again is anyone's guess. Of course, when I feel like the top is in, I'll probably tell people. But at the time, who's gonna listen? I mean, most people aren't gonna listen. It's kind of like recently I was, I've done it with some other assets, and I'll say, okay, I think the top is in, and usually it's met on deaf ears. But it is what it is. So let's, where Ethereum goes in the short term, right? I mean, it's at the top of the regression band here. So I would still say we're not in speculative bubble territory. like we were in 2019 when it went to, it peaked at 359. Even though we're currently at 320, I don't really consider this to be speculative bubble. If we come back down, I just say it's a continuation of our accumulation phase, and that hopefully, though, if we do see a speculative bubble, we can leverage that to our advantage. So looking at Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is the market mover. Bitcoin is still within its regression band too. So if Bitcoin starts to move sideways, we know that Bitcoin moved sideways for a long time in this region right here. But now it's broken out into a new region. So the question is if Bitcoin continues to move up quickly, Ethereum will likely have a hard time maintaining its ratio. That doesn't mean the USD won't go up, the value won't go up. I mean, it could still maybe go to like 350. But if Bitcoin's going to 14K, a lot of the money is probably going to pour into Bitcoin. What I would like to see personally is just see Bitcoin stabilize at a certain level in terms of wanting to see then or expecting Ethereum to start to make that move. If on the other hand, as I said earlier, if you see Bitcoin retrace back down into this accumulation region here, or if you see it go up, then as I've said many times, and you're probably getting sick of hearing, then the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio would likely bleed. Now, that doesn't mean it has to bleed. It just means that based on what I've seen in the past, it's more likely than not to bleed. And even over the last few days, if you look at the Ethereum, let's zoom in here. So if you look here on the 26th, or the 27th, this is when Bitcoin really started moving. So once Bitcoin started moving, this is one of the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio started bleeding. So if Bitcoin continues its move, right, then you might expect to see the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio continue to go down. But we'll see what happens. At the end of the day, if the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio does bleed back down to say 0.027 or 0.026 or maybe even 0.025, I would just treat this as an opportunity rather than something you have to be worried about. Because if you look at the general trend, it seems to me that there has been a shift in the market, and that we're slowly starting to trend up. So we'll see what happens, right? We'll see what happens over the long haul. I'll keep you guys updated. Remember, if you guys like the content, please subscribe to the channel. Give the video a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below. Do check out the Telegram channel if you want to discuss these charts with like-minded people. We have 4,700 of your closest friends, your closest future friends, in that group. So check it out. And then finally, we do again have the premium list. If you want access to exclusive content, some of the things that I see on the market that I'm not talking about on the public channel, then do check it out. You can sign up with crypto too to get a discount. Prices will be going up in a few weeks. So if you want to get grandfathered in at the current price, go ahead and sign up sooner rather than later. That'll wrap it up for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you next time. Bye.